how do you make $300,000 as a nurse? And you may be wondering, why $300,000? I know it's very random, but if you click this video and your first thought is that it's impossible to make $300,000, there's no nurse that can make that much money, or that is so impossible, then this video may not be for you, because the first thing that you need to do in order for you to make $300,000 as a nurse is to actually believe that you can make this much money. A lot about life is about the mindset that we have, and I think that if you limit yourself to only making a specific amount of money, then that is kind of like a problem. So when I was a new grad nurse, I had this talk with another nurse, and we were talking about salaries and how it's impossible to make six figures as a nurse, because at that time, this was 14 years ago, I did not think that I was going to be able to make six figures. I was getting paid $28 per hour at that time, which is what, like $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And at that time, I was like, I'm not going to make that much. But there are so many ways to make $300,000. And so today I'm going to talk to you how you can make this much money and more, and not limit yourself as a nurse, because using your degree and your career is one of the ways that you can leverage it, and you can build wealth by just being a nurse, right? So in 2024, I looked at my pay for the whole year, and I have made over $300,000 right here. That is like my total compensation, including my base salary as a nurse practitioner. Ellaine 10-20 years ago would have never thought I would be making this much, but now that I am in the mindset where I'm at right now, there is no limit. There is no limit to how much you can make, and there is no limit to your potential. Even as a person, or even as a nurse, there's a lot of things that you can do to make a lot of money, right? So there are, number one thing is make sure that you have that mindset that your potential is limitless, and you can make a lot of money, and you deserve to make a lot of money. And what is enough for you, or what salary is enough for you, is something that only you can determine. So if somebody who's a nurse and they're happy making $100,000 a year, totally fine. But if you're a big dreamer and you think that you can make more, you can also do it too. Don't limit yourself. Opportunities don't happen, you create them. Number one thing that you can do to increase your income as a nurse and make $300,000 is by moving to a higher paying location. So I don't know about you, or if you relate to the news, but in nursing salaries like differ very, very greatly depending on where you live. People who live in the Midwest makes a different amount of salary than somebody who's working in a hospital in the Bay Area in California. States like California, New York, Massachusetts, and Texas often pay nurses way more than other states because of the cost of living, legislations, and even the demand for nurses in those areas. So some ways that you can leverage this strategy is by doing travel nursing. Back in 2020, there's a lot of demand for nurses, and so they were paying nurses $2,000 to $4,000 a week. Like, I know somebody who was making $20,000 to $50,000 a month just from travel nursing, and that is not even including any overtime pay. So right now, travel nursing is still a good idea, especially if you live in an area where nurses are not getting paid as much. California still has a lot of offers a lot of good pay for travel nurses still, and according to Trusted Health, some travel nurses actually have earned $200,000 just in 2023 alone, and that is already post-COVID. And so if you need to move somewhere that gives you better pay, that might be something that you want to consider. Of course, there's a lot of things that you have to consider when it comes to moving locations. If you have a family, then that may be a little difficult. But if you are single, ready to mingle, then sometimes doing travel nursing may be a better choice for you if you want to increase your income as a nurse. The second thing that you can do to increase your income is by pursuing overtime per diem or on-call work. Now, one of the perks of nursing that I have noticed is that there's an ability to pick up overtime shifts. So I know someone that I used to work with who always picks up an extra shift every week. If you're being strategic about this is one way of making $300,000. If you work in the Bay Area, I know somebody who makes like $200,000, and that is not even without any overtime. Now, believe it or not, nurses can make additional $50,000 to $100,000 a year just by working extra shifts. And according to 2022 survey, 81% of nurses actually reported working overtime. That way they can supplement their incomes. And if you don't know about this, there's a lot of like supplemental pays when it comes to like a nursing pay. There is a differential if you work during those times that most people would not want to work, like an evening pay, weekend pay. There's also a night shift pay. So just if you want to supplement your income and increase your income, make $300,000 as a nurse, then this is something that you may have to consider. There are also some nurses who takes advantage of like strikes. So if a hospital is unionized and the nurses go on strike, the units need nurses to take care of patients, so they pay strike nurses kind of like a premium pay to cover those shifts to take care of patients. That is one thing that I know someone online does, like they do strike nursing. So that is another thing. So that's the second one. The third thing that you can do is to advance your degree. And I went to nurse practitioner school in 2015. So that is 10 years ago now, which is kind of crazy thinking about it. Mainly to really advance my education because I want to do more for my patients. And I did get a pay cut from being a nurse to being a nurse practitioner initially, but over time in the last 10 years, I have definitely increased my pay as a nurse in general, or as a nurse practitioner in general. And I would have never been making the amount of money that I'm making now if I had not, actually, you know what, I may have been, just because I know a lot of nurses who still make way more than me. But yeah, so I advanced my degree. I know for sure that if you want to go back to school to get your master's or doctorate, anesthesia or like being a CRNA, that by itself, you can make like $200,000 up to $300,000 if you're doing locum, or like if you're doing a 1099 with that. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average annual salary of CRNAs in 2023 is actually $202,000 and $470. So just by advancing your degree, definitely can increase your income as a nurse. And before you come at me, I want to let you know that like a nurse practitioner, a nurse specialist, or a CRNA, it's still considered nurses. They're still nurses because you wouldn't have been a CRNA or an NP without being a nurse first, right? So it still counts. But advancing your degree definitely is one of the ways to increase your income and make $300,000 as a nurse. And whether you get an increase in pay or not, like always advancing your education, in my opinion, is always an investment. It's always a win-win. The only thing with going back to school is that you're going to be sacrificing some years not being able to work full time or not being able to make some sort of income had you not have gone to graduate school. But it's an investment and a sacrifice that definitely paid off for me, and I do not regret anything as far as like going back to school to become a nurse practitioner. Number 4 is leveraging like entrepreneurial opportunities. Oh my gosh, like tongue-tied. So what do I mean by this? And it's actually like having a business, especially if you are the entrepreneurial kind. I did not know that I was actually an entrepreneurial kind until just recently. No one in my family or no one I knew had like a business mindset, right? Like we've always worked a traditional job. We've always worked, like everyone I knew, my aunties and my parents, they've all worked kind of like the traditional way where they retire in their 60s, never started a business or anything. And the main reasoning for this is because being an entrepreneur or like a business owner, it has a lot to do with like being very risk tolerant, because having a business is really taking risks, and that is risks of losing money, risk of like failing, all those other things. But I found that I actually love that. I actually love this I love this venture. I'm really enjoying becoming like an entrepreneur and a business owner, because I think it's a lot to do with your personal development as well. And I'm learning so much, and I love learning to begin with. And so as a nurse, there are so many ways that you can start a business. Number one is you can open your own practice. Now, this is something that I was considering before. I wanted to open my own clinic as a nurse practitioner. There are a lot of states in America where you can open your practice independently as a nurse practitioner. California, however, we're in that state that is restricted, so I cannot open a practice without having a doctor or a physician as a medical director. So yeah. So it's a little restricted, but I still know of a bunch of nurse practitioners who have their own practices here in California. So this is definitely an option for you as a nurse. Now, the reason why I did not want to go with this, with this like journey or with this option is because I find that I don't really enjoy healthcare being a business. I don't know, like it's difficult. Like we can talk more about that, but I just don't find myself starting a practice where it's a business transaction to be able to take care of other people. And maybe, I can do it very ethically and in a way that would just help me pay the bills, but I'm still working on my mindset and my limitations regarding that, area. But definitely opening a practice is one thing that you can do as a nurse. The other thing is starting an online business. This is something that I do. And just last year, I have made $2,000 from my online business that I do on the side. So definitely that is another way of making money as a nurse, is leveraging and using your skills as a nurse to start an online business. And I believe that anybody can be an online, business owner, as long as you're really willing to take on the challenges and the risk that comes with being an entrepreneur. And the other thing is that if you are an expert at your field, you can also do a lot of speaking and consulting business on the side. Like I know some nurse speakers who charge a specific amount of fee for them to talk to like conferences, deliver keynote addresses for like schools, universities. The fifth one that you can do to increase your income and actually make $300,000 as a nurse is to maximize your benefits or negotiate your contracts. And this kind of applies more to like nurse practitioners or CRNAs because they have the ability to negotiate their salaries. For me, like now that I have the experience, I can negotiate the salary if I'm wanting to look for a different job. And just with sign-on bonuses or even like salary increases, that could definitely increase your overall salary. You can also look at your pay as something that is not just your hourly pay. There are so many other ways to look at your salary, like overall picture. And I'm talking about benefits like CME education, your vacation, your PTO, your sick leave, your stipends, if you get stock options, if you're going to be working for like a big company. So these are things that you can add to your overall income as a nurse or nurse practitioner or CRNA or CNS or a clinical nurse leader to really be able to make more money as a nurse. And this goes back to like one of my favorite quotes by Chester Carras: "You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate." And I this is very timely too, because I make content online. So if you have been following me on my social media up here and up here, you know that I have been making content. I have been making content online as a nurse, in the finance like space, even in the nursing space. And today I just had a negotiation for a brand deal, and it's just crazy because like, you really get what you tolerate. Like, this is like so big when it comes to like your career, your life. And it also goes back to what I said in the beginning of this video, to where like everybody has like that definition of enough for them, right? So if you dream big and if you think that you deserve way more, then you have to negotiate for it. You have to ask for it. Otherwise, it's not going to be given to you. So negotiate, know your worth, and this is one way to make more money as a nurse. And lastly is to build multiple sources of income. Now, you may be limited depending on where you live, what your education is as a nurse, to make $300,000. And so you have to build other ways or avenues to make money. And I actually shared my streams of income as a nurse. You can check it out in here. And in this video, I shared with you some ways that I make money, including my nursing full-time job and side hustles that I do that is kind of related to nursing, and the others are not related to nursing, and that's how I'm able to increase my income. Check it out in here. I shared that all with you. But in general, nursing alone, very, very rarely that you can make $300,000. That's something that I will truthfully say to you, but it's possible. It's not impossible. I know like per diem nurses, I know locum nurses who make this amount of money in a year. You can check it out in here. I've seen this videos online, and I totally believe it. I know some travel nurse who made $350,000 a year before. I know a CRNA in California in the Bay Area. One of my friends is a neuro surgical, you know, like a nurse anesthetist, and she makes like that much money. And so it's not impossible, but one way to really be able to do this is by doing one of those things that I just mentioned to you, and also supplementing it with other side hustles. Maybe ambitious, but it's definitely doable. So if you have made it this far, I know and I believe that you can make this much money as a nurse. And for me, this is just the beginning. My goal is actually to make $1 million a year, whether it's from my business or with my nursing career. Definitely, I don't know with my nursing career, but maybe in addition to my nursing career. But yeah, the sky is the limit. There's no limit actually. So hopefully you stay dreaming. I hope that this video is helpful for you. I do want you to know though that like the amount of money that you make is not really what is the most important when it comes to like wealth building. It's how much money you keep and invest. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much you make if you are not investing it or if you're not saving it for yourself. And so all of these numbers, $300,000, $200,000, they're all just revenues. Profit is what's important. It's what you get to keep at the end of the day. So make sure that you also do that along with prioritizing your financial well-being as a nurse. So if you want to watch more videos like this, make sure that you check my channel out, subscribe to this channel. I also have a lot of free resources for you if you want to build wealth. And yeah, hopefully this video is helpful for you. I will see you in the next video. I'm actually going to be posting a video on how you can invest as a nurse, and this is going to be filled with so much information and how you can get started if you're just beginning. So make sure you click that notification bell because it's going to be dropping in a week or two, and so I don't want you to miss that. Stay hydrated, stay invested. See you guys in the next video. Bye.